Okay, we'll start.
What do you? Yeah.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang saranang gacchami, dhammang saranang gacchami, sanghang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami, dutiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami, dutiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami, tatiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami, tatiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami, tatiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami. Panatipata veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Adinadana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Kamesu miccachara veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Musawada veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Surameraya majjapamadatthana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Now comes the time for us to leave the world, to renounce the world for a short while by doing what the Buddha himself has done, become Buddha. That is to watch the breath. Just breathe normally. Let go of all thoughts as far as possible. And direct your mind to your in-breath, out-breath, just as it is. This is Buddhism at its simplest. Just watching the breath. And if you do this calmly, patiently, you will see inner peace and liberating wisdom. Help us focus. In the first stage, we count the breaths. Breathe in 1, breathe out 2. In 1, out 2. In 1, out 2. And smile anytime you like. There are other ways of counting also. If you prefer other ways, you can use it. And in case you do not want to do the counting, it is also possible, it's also all right. Use what is called open mindfulness. You know you're breathing in, you know you're breathing out. Normally it's easier if you mentally note in, out, in, out. And remember, in meditation, there are many methods, many teachers. The best method is the one that works for you. So here I'm teaching you a few variations, but choose the one that works best for you. If you are doing the counting, If you make any mistakes, doesn't matter. Immediately go back to 1, to the start. Anytime you have a mistake, start with 1 again. Smile. Helps you to focus better. If you're having a cold or nose block, you can breathe through the mouth. You can still use the counting. As your breath becomes more peaceful, stop the counting, switch to simply watching in, out. Even if you do just stages 1 and 2, at the end of it, you find you still feel some peace, very good peace. So keep watching the breath, letting go of all distractions. As you do that, you will notice there are gaps in between the breaths. In, space, out, space. You will notice the spaces or the gaps becoming longer, more peaceful, even joyful. Let this happen. Don't get excited, don't do anything to this. Just quietly observe it, like you're watching a beautiful rare bird or rare animal in the jungle. You just observe this beautiful breath. During the gaps, you're still breathing, but very subtle, very gentle, almost unnoticeable. Feel the peace, smile at it. If there are any distractions coming, just smile at it. Smile at the distraction. You can also gently say, let go, let go. And your mind will let go of the distraction. Or you can gently whisper, peaceful, peaceful. So this is the third stage. As your breath becomes more peaceful, you begin to notice even to say in, out can be quite distracting. That means you are reaching stage 4, the silent stage. No need to say anything at all. You know you're breathing in, you know you're breathing out. There is this wonderful peace, even a bright, radiant mind. Just sit as long as you can in that light and peace. Now, sometimes when you meditate, maybe you're tired after a long day, you may fall asleep. That's all right. That's very good, in fact. You are getting the rest that you need. Meditation makes you feel the body naturally. So have that short rest while sitting, and then when you come out of it, you are refreshed. And if you like, if you can, continue with your meditation. Meditation is not just how long you sit. It's a habit of turning to the peace inside you at the right time. When you're feeling worried or you forget something, spend a short while just watching the breath in a way that you like. Make a habit of that. We are breathing all the time. So be as mindful as you can. If there's nothing to do, nothing important, be mindful of the breath. When you are doing something like driving or cooking, of course, you have to direct your mindfulness outwards to the work. There are moments when you can sit quietly and just watch the breath. Now at this point, let us review our practice. To review the practice means to remember the peaceful moments, the joyful moments, remember them. This is also a kind of helpful reflection on peace, especially when you are feeling a bit troubled. angry, remember this peace. Or when we are sick, feel this peace. The body may be sick. Let not the mind be sick. So review your practice. Also notice any difficulties that you may have faced. Try to see if you can identify the conditions or causes. Then later, improve your meditation by correcting all those problems. Review your practice. Now, before we end, just slowly open our eyes. This is called just sitting. We begin our meditation slowly, gently. We end it also slowly, gently. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. We can now begin with our study. Now today's sutta is called Brahma Nimantanika Sutta. Brahma here is the name of the high god, highly respected by non-Buddhists in the Buddha's time. He's regarded as the creator, in fact. The Indian religions, they have many ideas of creators. So Brahma is one of them, and some become more popular than others. You have many other gods like Prajapati, Iswara, and so on, also regarded as creators. So they have this idea, or rather these gods have the idea that they are creators. So in this sutta, we will see how the ancient Indians deal with this problem. Now, what is dramatic about this sutta is that it's something you don't see in any other religious literature. In fact, many of the scholars seem to have missed this really very interesting, very unique situation here, where you have basically God, the devil, and Buddha put together in high heaven, having a sort of a debate. So this is essentially what the drama is here. And not only that, there's something quite mysterious here. The words of the Buddha, the way he rebuts, counters Mara and counters Brahma, echoes a bit of the Old Testament, the Jewish Torah and the Septuagint, the holy texts, some of those ideas about God recorded in those ancient texts, which I will point out later. In other words, from this sutta, it is possible that the Buddha, living about, say, 400, 500 BCE, knew a bit about this Jewish text, because India is not too far away from the land of the Jews in the Eastern Mediterranean. So there is this commerce, lots of traders coming, going. So it's not surprising that Buddha would know teachings of the Jews. And this also gives us this very interesting idea that later on, after Buddha passed away, when Christ was born, Christianity also influenced the Indians. And probably the writers of the Lotus Sutra also were influenced by Christianity. Of course, it's just an idea. Hopefully some scholars would, work on this and see what really happened with the Lotus Sutra. It's a very interesting sutra. So people get carried away and think, wow, it's a really, it's a Buddhist sutra. Actually, it's an anti-Buddhist sutra. And so we have this very interesting interaction between religions in this sutra. But there is a lesson in this sutta here. So let's look at this sutta now, starting with the translation page. I think it's around, is it page 121? Yeah. Okay, here we are. So Brahma is the name. Brahma means perfect. It's used as an adjective. Usually, when it's a name, the last A has got a macron, a line over it. But here is an adjective. It's in the middle, so the A is missing. It's Brahma Nimantanika. Nimanta means invitation. So Nimantanika means it's an adjective. Brahma's invitation. Okay, so this title also is quite tricky. I will explain a little later. Sutta means thread or teaching that brings us back to the Buddha. The discourse on Brahma's invitation, M49, Majjhima Nikaya, so it's an important sutta. Thus have I heard, at one time the Blessed One was staying in Anathapindika's park in Jeta's Grove near Savatthi. There the Blessed One addressed the monks thus, Bhikshus, Bhante, the monks answered the Blessed One in assent. The Blessed One said this. So here's a sutta where you find the Buddha teaches the monks unprompted. He decided he wanted to tell the monks this story. Okay. Bhikshus, once I was staying at the foot of a royal sal tree in the Subhaga Grove in Ukata. So this very old, huge sal tree in a place called Ukata, a place in India. So now at that time, Bhikshus, an evil wrong view had arisen in Brahma Baka. Baka means heron. So this Brahma is the Lord of the first jhana heaven, if you like. Okay. So the Buddha goes into meditation, he surveys the world. So he sees that, okay, he sees Brahma, the high God, the Lord of this realm in the first jhana realm, has this wrong view. What is this wrong view? This Brahma, this high God thinks, this Brahma realm, his realm is permanent. His heaven is permanent. This is everlasting. This is eternal. This is everything. In other words, complete in itself. Here, this line, if you know the Sabasava Sutta, then of course you understand the significance of this interesting line. The Brahma thinks this is everything, okay? Complete in itself. This is not subject to passing away. This body is neither born, that means his body, his heavenly body, is neither born, nor decays, nor dies, nor passes away from here, nor reappears. In other words, it's not reborn, nor, and there is no escape beyond here. So you're stuck there. It's eternal, in other words. That is a typical God idea, typical eternalist idea, right? Stated in colloquial terms, if you like. So the Buddha knew this. Then the Buddha says, then I, bhikshus, having known with my mind the thought in Brahma Bhaka's mind, just as a strong man would stretch his flexed arm and would flex his stretched arm, so it would bend his arm, he appears in the Brahma world. Okay, so he appears before Brahma. So here we have the stage. The stage, in other words, is in the first dhyana Brahma realm. It's even beyond the heavens of Chakra and the other sensual gods. This is the first jhana realm, the higher, the second of the three worlds, no? Quite high level. So here a third person appears. Okay. Well, let me just, there's one part here I've not read yet. So this Brahma has a wrong view. That the whole list is repeated here on the eternalist view. And then, so the Buddha goes to Brahma. Okay, now he's talking to Brahma in section 4. So the Buddha tells Brahma, you have these wrong views, you know, all right? Then the Brahma here, look at section. Brahma then says, no, these are my views, okay? These are my views. So the Buddha tells him outright, says, these are all wrong, you know. I mean, you're talking about something impermanent as permanent, non-lasting as everlasting, non-eternal as eternal, incomplete as complete, subject to passing away as not subject to passing away. What is born decays, dies, passes away, and is reborn as not so. And that there is an escape from here, but you say there is no escape. Okay, so Mara, of course, does not agree. So there is this debate. Now a third person appears. Let's look at section 5. Then Mara, the evil one, possessed the mind of a certain Brahma's retinue, a member of the Brahma's retinue, and said to me, okay, this line is interesting. Let me explain a bit first. Brahma's retinue are like the attending angels to Brahma, the high god, okay? And he also has other lesser angels, okay, called the assembly. So that there are two other groups taking care of surrounding great Brahma, Mahabrahma, okay? So what's amazing here, it is the only sutta you see Mara not only appearing in the form dhyana world, but taking possession of one of the heavenly beings. And later on, Mara even takes possession of the mind of Brahma himself. So some scholars are a little confused and say, wow, how do you explain this, you know? From what we know in the sutras, Mara's power does not extend beyond the sense world. He's only Lord of the sense world, the five senses. And according to Buddhist mythology, his realm is in the high heavens of the sense world. He's like one little corner of one of those high realms. And he's called Vasavati. So he takes the name of the Lord of that realm also. Now, this is the thing when we study Buddhism. You know, when you fix your ideas, you're going to get into a lot of difficulty. And you may think that something's wrong here. There's nothing wrong here. You have to broaden the way you look at everything. What is the Buddha talking about here? Remember, Mara is not just a figure for the five senses. He's also said to be the five aggregates. If you remember, right? It's also the five aggregates. And as we know, the five aggregates pervade whatever exists. Of course, in the formless realm, form is non-existent, but the other aggregates are there. So technically speaking, as long as the aggregates are there, Mara is there. But we're not talking about Mara, the deity, anymore here. We're talking about the state of mind. So we have to look into a deeper meaning here. So it means here we can get caught up with wrong views. We can get caught up with these views in such a way that we will be reborn. Yes, we're going to get stuck in samsara and suffering. Of course, Brahma may think, oh, I'm not suffering, I'm living in glory, I'm happy, you know, but then it's impermanent. They may live for many, many world periods, kalpas, you know, but once they pass away, and the word for God's passing away is called chavati. Chavati means to drop from heaven. Once they drop from heaven because their karma is exhausted, they will go down into one of the suffering states. Like the animal world, even hell world. And you remember I told you before that the game of snakes and ladders was invented because of this idea that as long as we're in samsara, we get caught in this game of snakes and ladders. You do good deeds, good karma, then you go up the ladder, okay? And then bad karma catches up, then you get swallowed by the snake, you go down to square one again, up and down we go in samsara. So even Brahma, the highest God, even in the gods of the formless worlds are caught up. However, Mara here is the only occasion he appears in this realm, and to dramatize this event, a kind of warning, if you like. Even the gods are not free from wrong views. Okay, so look at the story. What's the Buddha trying to tell us? So here, Mara appears. And Mara warns the Buddha. Can you imagine that? Okay, so he's very arrogant. He doesn't address the Buddha properly. He says, Bhikshu. Okay, but here he's in power mode, you see. And on other occasions, he's more polite, trying to win over the Buddha. Here, he's playing power mode. Bhikshu, Bhikshu, do not meddle with this. Do not meddle with this. Right. So remember, the Buddha is trying to tell Mahabrahma, the high God, respected by people as creator, that he has wrong views. Whatever is impermanent, he thinks is permanent. So Mara is trying to prevent this. There is this really subtle humor here. Usually, God and the devil, Brahma and Mara, they're opposites. They kind of cancel each other out. But here you see them coming together. So in terms of a higher level of literature, higher level of thinking, the higher level of the Dhamma, we see here the juxtaposition, the putting together side by side of both good and evil. Good and evil are present even in the highest heavens, everywhere in samsara. That is why the arahats are called those who are beyond, those who have given up good and evil. Punya papa pahinam. They've given up both good and bad. You do good, you're reborn in the heavens. If you're reborn in the heavens, that means you go up. The higher you go, the lower you fall. Right? So you do bad, you go to suffering states. So good and bad are both karma. They keep us in this cycle called samsara. So you have Brahma and Mara present together. So this is possible in Buddhist literature at least. And it comes the middle way, the Buddha, talking to them. All right? So here, Mara warns the Buddha. Let's look at section 5 again. For this Brahma is the great Brahma, the high God. And then here's his name card. The vanquisher, the unvanquished, the omniscient, the omnipotent, the Lord God, the maker, the creator, the chief, the ordainer, the almighty, the father of all that are and will be. Very long title. No? So you find many people in this world also try to follow this example with all kinds of titles. So here, Mara tells the Buddha, do you know who you're speaking with? You're speaking with this high God. Look at his titles. And then Mara tells a story. Remember, Mara also lives for a long time. He tells the Buddha, before your time, Bhikshu, there were recluses and Brahmins in the world who scorn earth, loathe earth. They look down earth. They're not attached to the earth. They scorn water, loathe water, scorn fire, loathe fire. They scorn wind or air and scorn and loathe. Loathe means do not like, loathe. Loathe wind or air. These are the four elements. Okay, in other words, the material aspects of the world. These ancient ascetics scorn beings. They're not attached to beings. Loathe beings. They scorn the gods. They loathe the gods. They scorn Prajapati, loathe Prajapati. Here, Prajapati is another of those creator gods. Praja means people. Pati means Lord of men. Who scorn Brahma, loathe Brahma. They look down, they reject God also. And when the body has broken up after their breath was cut off, they were established in an inferior body. So this is a warning Mara gives the Buddha. So those in the past, people who look down on the world, who look down on beings, who reject the gods, who don't worship the high God Prajapati, Brahma, when they die, they're born in the suffering state. Here, body is not just a physical body. It refers to the place where you're born, the body of beings. Okay, so they have this inferior body and they're born in suffering state. This is according to Mara. Okay, Mara is given a warning. So you're getting bad karma, you know, no, not worshiping God. All right. So this is Mara talking. Okay, let's go on and see what happens now. Further down. So then Mara now turns very sweet. Okay. 5.3. Before your time, Bhikshu, there were also recluses and Brahmins in the world who lauded earth, who praised earth, who delighted in earth, and delighted in water, fire, wind, or air. And they delighted in beings, in the gods, in Prajapati, and they lauded Brahma, delighted in Brahma. They worshipped the high god. And when the body had broken up after their breath was cut off, they were established in a superior body. They were born in the Brahma world. They were born in happy states, right? So this is like the evangelical preacher speaking. It sounds very much like that, right? So here's Mara is talking, okay? So, Bhikshu, I tell you this. Come now, good sir. Do only as Brahma or God says. Go not against the word of Brahma, or not against the word of God. If you, Bhikshu, go against the word of Brahma, the word of God, then Bhikshu, you would be like a man trying to deflect approaching glory with a stick. This is typical God talk. Huh? So this glory is coming to you and you are just pushing it away with a stick. You are defenseless. Or Bhikshu, you will be like a man losing hold of earth with his hand and feet as he falls down the deep chasm. So it will be unto you, Bhikshu. So here we have Maharaj saying, you don't believe in God, you're going to fall into hell. Deep chasm is hell. Come now, good sir, do only as Brahma says. Go not against the word of Brahma. Do you not see Brahma's retinue seated here, Bhikshu? Then Brahma, the evil one, led me up close to Brahma's retinue. Here, retinue is like the angels, many of them. So he brings the Buddha there. So you see all these beautiful angels, God, all these Brahmas. No? So this is evangelical talk. So Mara is the top, really top evangelist. We're like very high up there. And he's threatening the Buddha. He says, you have to bow before this God. You should not be talking like this to Brahma. Now the question is, why is he doing this? I mean, isn't it strange for Mara to be taking the side of God? Well, both Brahma and Mara are on the same side of samsara. Whichever side you take, whether you follow God or you follow Brahma, you do good or you do bad, you're still caught up with samsara. And the Buddha says you have to let go of both. Okay? All right, so Mara finished talking. When this was said, Bhikshus, I told this to Mara, the evil one. So this is the Buddha's reply. Okay? Now it's always interesting to see how the Buddha is attacked and then how he replies. His reply is very simple. Now here again, you got to picture who is the Buddha talking to. If you look at the sutta again, the appearance of the being, the Brahma is talking to him. One of the Brahma in Brahma realm, not the great Brahma, but one of his lower angels, if you like, is talking to the Buddha in the form of Brahma. See? So the Buddha replies and says, I know you, evil one. Okay, this is the famous statement, how to overcome evil. I know you. I know what you really are, what all this is. Do not think he does not know. You are Mara, the evil one. This is how we overcome evil, by identifying it. Not afraid to identify it. When you have difficulties with your mind, identify it. That's Mara. If you are distracted, this is distraction. If you have desire, this is desire. If you have hate, this is hate. Delusion is a bit tricky, but we can know it by retrospect, by examining. Then we say, this is delusion. So that's how you expose Mara. Usually once Mara has told this, it will disappear. But this is high drama, so this Mara is in power mode. And the Buddha continues, and whoever evil one is Brahma and the Brahma's retinue and the Brahma's assembly. Okay, these are the three, all right? Three groups. Have fallen into your hands. They have all fallen under your power. See, the Buddha knows this. So the Buddha says, you have been messing around, even in high heaven, huh? I know what's going on. So I've come to make sure these things don't happen, all right? You evil one, think, this ram has fallen into my hands. This Buddha too has fallen under my power. But I have not fallen into your hands, evil one. I have not fallen under your power. So the Buddha firmly tells Mara, sorry, I'm not under your influence. Okay. Then, now Brahma cuts in, okay? The high god, okay? When this was said, Bhikshus, Brahma told me, good sir, of the permanent, I say it is permanent. Of the everlasting, I say it is everlasting. Of the eternal, I say it is eternal. Of everything, I say it is everything. Of what is not subject to passing away, I say that it is not subject to passing away. Of where one is neither born, nor decays, nor dies, nor passes away from the heavens, or is reborn, I say here that one is neither born, nor decays, nor dies, nor passes away from here, nor is reborn. And where, now here is the Pali actually says, and when there is no escape beyond here, I say that there is no escape beyond here. But even if you read this way, when there is an escape, I say there is no escape. It's also true. Okay, this is the interesting part here. So here, Brahma is restating his wrong view. He's saying all this is permanent, forever. Okay, why? Because Mara has taken over Brahma's mind too. So Brahma makes this powerful statement that everything in this heaven is permanent. And then he repeats what Mara says, 7.2. Before your time, Bhikshu, there were recluses and Brahmins in the world whose asceticism lasted as long as your whole life, right? So here is reminding the Buddha there are other holy men just like him. They knew when there is an escape beyond, that there is an escape beyond. And when there is no escape beyond, they know there is no escape beyond. So in other words, they know the truth. He's just playing with the words here. See this Mara speaking to Brahma, right? So Bhikshu, I tell you this, you will find no escape beyond. You will only reap your share of toil and trouble. So don't make any effort. You will not find the escape. So here you see Mara making great effort to discourage the Buddha from finding the answer to freeing ourselves from suffering. Later on, Mara will, through Brahma, will tell the Buddha, don't teach, don't answer questions, don't guide people, right? So here, Brahma's voice speaking to, Mara's voice speaking to Brahma continues, if you, Bhikshu, will hold on to earth, you be close to me, rest in my domain. Okay, notice this is the voice of God. But who is speaking really? This is the irony, a bit of really high heaven humor. It's actually Mara talking. If you, Bhikshu, will hold on to earth, you will be close to me, rest in my domain, so that I may work my will upon you and make you humble. This is the part which echoes like the Old Testament. This very same words, make you humble, is found in at least two places in the Old Testament, the Exodus and the Second Chronicles. Okay? I'll come to that in a while. If you bhikshus will hold on to water, You be close to me, rest in my domain. Same thing spoken of fire and wind. In other words, the Buddha, Brahma is saying, speaking for Mara, do not give up on the world. If you accept the world, and then you humble yourself before me. Why? Because the world is Brahma's creation, isn't it? But he's not finished yet. Let's see what else he says further down. You will be close to me and rest my domain. Okay, so if you bhikshu will hold on to beings, so there are beings, accept them. Don't talk about impermanence and non-self, right? So if you accept that there are beings, you be close to me, rest in my domain, rest in my heaven. Okay, rest under my power, so that I may work my will upon you and make you humble. So this is repeated like 7, 8 times. If you bhikshus will hold on to the gods, you'll be close to me and rest in my domain, so that I may work my will upon you and make you humble. If you hold on to Prajapati, one of the high gods, you'll be close to me, rest in my domain, so that I may work my will upon you and make you humble. If you hold on to Brahma, to God, you could be close to me, rest in my domain, so that I may work my will upon you and make you humble. Okay, now let's see where in the Jewish Bible you find this really interesting overlap, all right? You can see in your notes later on, right? Don't look at it now. Where in 2nd Chronicles, there are 2 references. One is Exodus 10, the other 2nd Chronicles 34. The Torah, I mean, this is the Jewish holy book, says, regarding the words you have heard, because your heart was penitent and you humble yourself before God when you heard his words against this place and its inhabitants, and you have humbled yourself before me and have rent your clothes and wept before me, I have also heard you, says the Lord. All right, there you are. It's a very close parallel. I don't think many scholars know this, this interesting parallel, that the Buddha knew about this and the Buddha has given his answer. So don't worry about evangelists, the Buddha already answered them long ago. Okay, let's see what happens after this. What does Buddha tells Brahma further down? So this is where the Buddha challenges Brahma. Okay, let's go down a bit more. Okay, so the Buddha says, section 9. Section 9, yeah. As far as the sun, okay, now Brahma says, do you know how much my power is? You know how strong and powerful I am? Then Buddha replies, as far as the sun and moon cause their way, lighting the quarters with their radiance, over that 1,000-fold world your might holds sway. There you know the high and low, the good and bad, and the lastful and last-free, such and such existences, the comings and the goings of beings. Okay, in other words, Brahma is very powerful, he knows a lot of things. Thus, Brahma, I know you're rich, I know your radiance. Okay, Brahma Baka has this much might. Brahma Baka has this much power. Brahma Baka has this much sway. Okay. Now this is interesting. If we look at this passage as it is, we can say that the Buddha did not actually deny the God idea, but he puts it in its place. So there are all these gods, just like other gods, powerful gods, not so powerful gods, and then there are all these beings. That's one way of looking at it. Another way of looking at it is we can talk of there are other beings like the aliens that you see in the space movies, right? You travel into deep outer space, and there are other beings, very powerful beings, who are able to, by their minds, they're able to do fantastic things. So we got to imagine something like that the high god of Brahma is something like that. They have this great power, they're able to create the worlds, because of their powers. Right? So the Buddha knew all this. So in the suttas, in other words, we talk about gods, we talk about demons and so on, when the Buddha talks about demons, we can interpret this as that there are aspects of our minds which trouble us when we have difficulties, and psychology explains all this. And then, on the other hand, there are high gods, creators of worlds, and so on. They are like aliens or very powerful in other parts of the universe. So that's one, the different ways of looking at it. We don't really know exactly what's going on, but these are the possibilities given in the suttas. Okay, now, so Brahma claims that he knows everything, that he's the creator, he's powerful. But the Buddha replies in section 10, there are three things Brahma does not know about. But Brahma, there are three other bodies or worlds that you neither know nor see, but which I know and see. In other words, Brahma was not able to recall his past life. Okay, so here, again, remember this word kaya. If we translate just kaya as body, it will not be very accurate. So kaya here has got a figurative sense, kaya, body in a sense of collection, in sense of worlds, in a sense of existences. Okay, so we got to know all this, how words work in the Pali context. So the Buddha says there are three worlds, the three past lives which Brahma did not know about. One, there is Brahma, the world, the body or world called Abhasara, streaming radiance. Arising here, you fell from it. So this was the higher heaven. Actually, Brahma kind of came down from that heaven. He was reborn lower than that heaven. Because you have dwelt there for so long, your memory has lapsed. Many world cycles, so he's forgotten about it. So you neither know nor see it, but I know and see it through his meditation, okay? As such, Brahma, as regards direct knowledge, you and I are not of the same level at all. For how could I know less? Rather, I know more than you. So here the Buddha is saying through direct knowledge, because of direct knowledge, that the Buddha knows Brahma's past life. Then, secondly, the Buddha says there is Brahma, the body of the world called Subhakinha or Subhakanha. Okay, you have two ways of spelling this, radiant glory. You have a reason that you fell from it because you dwelt there, or you dwelt here so long. In other words, Brahma has been living in the Brahma world for so long, your memory has lapsed. So you neither know nor see, but I know and see it. Right, so the Buddha talks about, he has direct knowledge, he's able to see past lives, so he knows Brahma also was later reborn in Subhakinha, but he forgot about it. There is Brahma, the world called Vehapala, that you neither know nor see, I know and see it, right? So here again, the Buddha says, through my direct knowledge, I know that you were reborn there and then you came from there. Okay? But you did not know these three worlds anyway. And there is Brahma, the world called Abhibhu, the overlord, that you neither know nor see, but I know about this world. Okay. Now, to be honest, I'm not sure why this fourth realm is mentioned here, because this is in a high realm. So at first I thought it might be indirectly referred to Mara himself, because Abhibhu can also, like refer to the overlord, the powerful one, But here is one of the heavens also. So anyway, here basically the Buddha is saying Mara, or rather Brahma, does not know everything. He does not even recall his immediate past lives where he was reborn in the higher heavens. So in this case, his rebirth was good because although he fell from the higher heavens, he still is a Brahma, so his karma is still good. But then after this, he's going to fall lower and lower. Okay. And now the Buddha talks about his own knowledge. Let's go further down. Brahma, having directly known earth as earth, and having directly known that which is not experienced as the earthiness of earth, I did not claim to be earth. Okay, so the Buddha is saying, through his understanding, he knows earth as an element, so he does not associate, he does not claim to be it, he does not worship it, does not like it in the way that Brahma or Mara has said. I did not claim to be in earth, I did not claim to be apart from earth, I did not claim to be earth to be mine, I did not worship earth. Now this is very important. This is the Buddha's teaching telling us not to view earth as having to do with the self. Do not identify in any way with the earth, that we are of the earth, connect in such a way that we get really caught up with it in terms of identity. Okay, respect earth, yes, but do not get caught up with it identifying with the earth in this way. Okay, these are the 4 ways of how self-idea arise. And then the last line Buddha says, I do not worship earth. And then he says, as such, Brahma, as regards direct knowledge, you and I are not the same, at the same level at all. For how could I know less? Rather, I know more than you because of direct knowledge, right? Then the Buddha says the same thing of water. He says, through his awakening, he understands the nature of water. As an element, it's impermanent. So he wouldn't identify water in any way, right? He doesn't worship water. Okay, so here Mara is through Brahma tells the Buddha to worship all these so-called God-created things. So the Buddha said, no, I don't worship water. And then 13, Brahma, having directly known fire as fire, he knows what fire is as an element. So I do not identify with fire in any way. I do not claim to be fire. I don't say I am fire, like Agni, the god of fire, or to be in fire, or to be separate apart from fire, or that fire is mine, that it belongs to me. I do not worship fire like the fire worshippers. So the Buddha knows this through his direct knowledge. Next, 14, the Buddha says, same thing with wind. He understands the nature of wind. Same thing, he does not identify with the wind. So these are the 4 elements, okay? Earth, water, fire, wind. I don't identify with wind in any way, says the Buddha, and I do not worship wind the way Mara wants me to, okay? So now further down. And same thing with beings, okay? So having directly known beings as beings, and having directly known that which is not experienced as the state of being a being, it's this nature of what to be alive is like, right? The Buddha understands that, so he doesn't identify with any being either, even with humans. So he doesn't claim that this is mine, and he does not worship this idea also. Further down, please. Do not worship beings, right? And then same thing with the gods. The Buddha says, I know who the gods are, they're all impermanent. So I don't identify with any of them, and I did not worship gods. Now, although the Buddha is saying this in the past tense, he's saying that up to that point, he has never worshipped gods, and that is true now too, okay? And then Prajapati, again, same. The Buddha says he doesn't identify with Prajapati in any way. He doesn't worship him. I did not worship Prajapati. And then 18, he says the same thing about Brahma. He says, I know who Brahma is impermanent, so I don't identify with him. And I do not worship Brahma. Very clear statement. I do not worship God. Okay. All right, so this is the Buddha talking. It's not finished yet, so I'm going to stop here since it's 9 o'clock, and we'll continue after this.
Okay, thank you, Brother Piya. Everyone, we'll take a 5 minutes break.
I think you can proceed.
Okay. Let's proceed now.
Yes, sure. So here, what Buddha is effectively doing is telling Brahma he does not know all these things. Now, this is what you can see in the bottom of the passage, at line 24. Go to passage 24. So I'm not going to repeat all those because the Buddha mentions all the various heavens and so on that Brahma does not know about. Okay, so then section 24, the Buddha says, "If, good sir, you have not experienced the allness of the all, may it not turn out to be just vain and empty for you?" Right. So here, the allness of the all, that everything works through our senses and sense objects. That's one way of looking at it. Okay, the Buddha understands this. So Brahma is not enlightened, does not know all this. So the Buddha is saying you don't know, you don't really know the true nature of all these things. And then the Buddha makes the clincher. This is the statement about nirvana. Okay, next section. Section 25. The consciousness without attribute, without end, radiant all around. Okay. So here the Buddha is talking about his experience of nirvana as a living person. Nirvana without attribute. In other words, you cannot really use any, you cannot describe nirvana properly. You can only maybe indirectly refer to it, It's without end, here meaning no beginning, no end, beyond time, and yet radiant all around. For the person who attains it, he sees this brightness. That is not experienced as the earthiness of earth, right? So you cannot attribute, you cannot describe, you cannot add any quality. You say, oh, this is earth. The wateriness of water, or fieriness of fire, airiness of air, the being of beings, the deity of devas, Prajapatihood of Prajapati, Brahmahood of Brahma. Here, Brahmahood can translate as godliness or Godhead. You can't say it is Godhead. The Abhasara godhood of the Abhasara gods, the Subhakina godhood of the Subhakina gods, the Vihapala godhood of the Vihapala gods, the overlordship of the overlord, the allness of the all. So none of these amazing things that you mention is connected with Nirvana. Nirvana is beyond all this. Okay, so the Buddha has proven his point. Now, Mara cannot say anything. Brahma also feels lost. So now what does Mara do? He's lost the debate. So he says, section 26, now, good sir, I will vanish. He wants to show his power. He said, I'll show you, I can disappear. Now, then Buddha says, now, Brahma, vanish from me if you can. Vanish from me if you can. Here again, you have this humor, very humorous statement. Then bhikshus, Brahma Baka thinking, I shall vanish from the recluse Gotama. I shall vanish from the recluse Gotama, but was unable to vanish. Thereupon, bhikshus, I said to Brahma Baka, now Brahma, I will vanish from you. Now good. Then Brahma said, okay, vanish from me if you can. Then bhikshus, I perform a psychic wonder so that Brahma and Brahma's retinue and the Brahma assembly could hear my voice, but could not see me. After I had vanished, I spoke this stanza. Having seen the fear or the danger in existence after existence, and in existence seeking non-existence. Okay, further down. I delighted not in any existence whatsoever, nor did I cling to any delight in being. Okay, so the Buddha is saying, I'm beyond all these things you mentioned because I'm awakened. Then bhikshus, Brahma and Brahma's retinue and the Brahma's assembly were filled with wonder and amazement, saying, it is wonderful, sirs, it's marvelous, great in power, great is the might of the recluse Gotama. We have never seen one with such great power, such great might as the recluse Gotama, who has gone forth from a Sakya clan. Although living in a generation that enjoys being, that takes delight in being, that rejoices in being, he has plucked out being along with his roots. So Mara acknowledges, Brahma rather, acknowledges the Buddha in this case. So at least there is this goodness in Brahma. He's able to recognize, wow, this Buddha is really true. You see this quality in the high gods. For example, Brahma Sahampati actually respects the Buddha and invites the Buddha to teach and so on, right? So this is another Brahma, a different Brahma. So he too feels, wow, the Buddha is really good after all. So for a while, Mara seems to have lost a grip on Brahma and the Brahma gods. Okay, so now Brahma doesn't want to lose. Let's see what Brahma does. 29. Then Mara, the evil one, possessed a certain member of Brahma's retinue, and he told me, "Good sir, if that is what you know, if that is what you have understood, do not guide your disciples and renunciants. Do not teach the Dhamma to your disciples and renunciants. Do not crave for disciples and renunciants." Okay, here you have Mara trying to pretend to be holy. Say, oh, don't have any attachment to anyone. Okay, don't teach Dhamma. Don't be attached to your disciples. Before your time, bhikshus, there were recluses and Brahmins in the world claiming to be worthy and fully self-awakened. And they guided their disciples and renunciants. They taught the Dhamma to their disciples and renunciants. They crave for disciples and renunciants. They, having guided their disciples and renunciants, having taught the Dhamma to their disciples and renunciants, and having craved for disciples and renunciants, when the body had broken up, after their breath was cut off, were established in an inferior body. So here again, same old story, Mara threatens the Buddha and says, don't get attached. Because, you know, in ancient times, all these teachers got attached, and they were reborn in suffering states. And then the next part again, sweet talk, okay? Before your time, bhikshus, there were also recluses and Brahmins in the world claiming to be worthy and fully self-awakened, past Buddhas in other words. But they did not guide their disciples and renunciants. They did not teach the Dhamma to others, and they had no craving for disciples and renunciants. Because Brahma is just talking off the cuff, you know. He's just trying to discourage the Buddha. He says, oh, so these teachers, they did not, you know, bother about teaching. They did not bother about finding disciples and teaching them to renounce the world. And when they died, they were reborn in happy states. They were reborn as superior beings, as Brahmas. 29.4. So, bhikshu, I tell you this, good sir, dwell unconcerned, devoted to pleasant dwellings here and now. So live happily. And don't think about teaching. It is wholesome, it is better to live the wholesome undeclared, good sir. Do not advise others. See here, Mara is very clear. He tells the Buddha, don't teach others. Don't teach the Dhamma. Okay? Why take the trouble? You know, people will argue with you, people won't listen to you, they get confused, they ask questions and trouble you. Why teach? Don't teach. Don't teach them. So this is Mara discouraging the Buddha. So Mara is also discouraging us. Right? Don't study the Dhamma, don't bother to read suttas, don't attend sutta talks and so on. Why trouble yourself? Take it easy, live the easy life. No? When this was said the Buddha, I told this to Mara, the evil one. I know you, evil one. Do not think he does not know. You are Mara, the evil one. Again, remember, Mara in disguise here. So here, the lesson is, Mara does not look terrible and fearful. He looks just like the people you know well, people you respect, people who are close to you. They're the ones telling you why learn Dhamma, why you're so religious, why you want to know suttas, and so on. Okay? So the Buddha says, I know you, Mara, you are the evil one. Evil one, it is not out of compassion for the welfare that you speak thus, right? So there you are. The people who tell you don't study Buddhism, don't go for sutta class, they do not speak out of compassion. They speak out of ignorance. Evil one, it is without compassion for their welfare, for your welfare, that you speak thus. You think thus, evil one. Those to whom the recluse Gautama teaches the Dhamma will escape from my sphere, right? So this is what Mara is afraid, that when the Buddha teaches the Dhamma, he will lose his power over those people. And it's for this reason too. Sometimes you hear some teachers tell you, oh, don't read Dhamma books, don't read all these suttas, or just practice meditation, right? Because they're afraid they might lose their influence on you. Okay? So they want you to follow only their teachings. Then Mara says, those recluses and Brahmins of yours, the Buddha rather says, those recluses and Brahmins of yours, evil one, who not fully self-awakened claim we are fully self-awakened. Right? So there are others who claim to know. These are the gurus. You find there are, even online nowadays, so many of these gurus who claim to talk Buddhism, but you listen carefully, and if you know the teaching, they make so many wrong statements, false statements about the Buddha and the teaching, the Vinaya and the Dhamma. Then the Buddha says, this is the Buddha statement. But I, who claim to be fully self-awakened and am truly fully self-awakened, evil one, if the Tathagata teaches the Dhamma to his disciples, he is such, tadiso. Evil one, if the Tathagata does not teach the Dhamma to his disciples, he is such. Evil one, if the Tathagata does come, guides disciples, he is such. And evil one, if the Tathagata does not guide disciples, he is such. Okay, here the meaning is this. This tadiso is a special term, a very ancient term, common in the Sutta Nipata, where the Buddha says the Arahat is such, tadiso, like that. So the Buddha, whether the Buddha teaches or not teaches, he knows what he's doing. He's still Buddha. Okay, so the Mara doesn't have to tell him. What is the reason for this? Because evil one, the Tathagata has abandoned the mental influxes that defile, bring renewal of being, bring trouble, ripen in suffering, and lead to further birth, decay, and death. Evil one, he has cut them off at the root, made them like a palm tree stump, done away with them so that they are not subject to further growth. So the Buddha says, he has become an arahat. He has overcome sensual attachments, views, desire for existence, and ignorance. In this manner, evil one, the Tathagata has abandoned the mental influxes that defiled, cut them off at the root, made them like a palm tree stump, done away with them, so that they are not subject to further growth. As such, because Mara was unable to reply, and because of Brahma's invitation, this exposition is entitled Brahma's Invitation. Right, so this is the title mentioned in the sutta itself, right? The Buddha says, you can call this sutta Brahma's Invitation, okay? Now, of course, Brahma invited the Buddha only in one part only, welcoming the Buddha when he arrives. There's a play on word here. The reality is actually it's the Buddha who's inviting Brahma to change his mind, to correct his wrong views. And in a way, Brahma has responded, but Mara is always there trying to confuse people. So remember, the Buddha is inviting us with this sutta right now. We have this sutta before us. So we are the heir of Dhamma now because the sutta has come down to us. Despite so many distractions and hindrances, we have this sutta with us. We have heard an exposition of this sutta. So we have received the Buddha's invitation to let go of wrong views, to clear our minds, to work hard despite difficulties, not to give up, to keep our precepts, to calm our minds, to cultivate our wisdom bit by bit, bit by bit. Because when we do this, time, impermanence is on our side. The older we grow, the more we will know. One more time, I tell you, next year will be 20 years of my sutta work, 50 years of Buddhist work. Whenever I do the suttas, I find, oh, I've done this, that I can take some old notes from the past. I say, oh, this is good karma. I've done all this, so I can just add this here, and I can put all this together and I present it in a new, beautiful way. It's like a musician has written short pieces here and there, and then he puts it together into a big, beautiful symphony. So when we study Buddhism, we're also like that. We study a bit here, a bit there. Never underestimate your ability. Read simple suttas, read short suttas, and go on building it up this way. And then you begin to see everything connecting. That's how wisdom grows. Otherwise, we always be like cats and dogs. Our minds don't grow. We don't want that. The message is very simple. Your mind, use it or lose it. That is the message. So we'll end here, and then we accept some questions from you, see what we can do for you.
Thank you very much, Piya, for the valuable teachings of the sutta for today. We'll open for question and answer now. Please feel free to type your questions in the chat, or you can raise your hand to ask the question. And please turn your video on for better interaction. I'll pass the session to Sister Aixin now. Sister Aixin.
Thank you, Sister Wendy. Good evening, brothers and sisters. Thank you, Brother Piya, for the sutta teaching. Let me read the first question from the chat.
Okay.
The first question from PP Call. Please elaborate how the Buddha put God in its place.
Who's the questioner again?
PP Call.
Okay. Well, I think the best way is to read the sutta carefully by yourself when you're having time, you see. Because I don't think my explanation will be very helpful to you. You read up the sutta carefully, and then you find, what did the Buddha tell Brahma? Okay, so I've spent the last 1 hour over telling about it. So if you don't understand what I'm saying, you can read the sutta again for yourself and then see what can you glean from it. There are lots of notes in the introduction, okay? And the simple answer is the Buddha changed Brahma's wrong view that even the Brahma world is impermanent. Now, the important thing is this. The Buddha is not trying to convert Brahma. The Buddha is addressing you and me here. Don't get caught up with all these views about gods and earth, water, fire, wind, and even about Mara, you know. Look at yourself. Look at the views that are in your mind. Have I let go of these views? Or am I building up these views? Remember, we are hindered by our knowledge. We are hindered by what we know. Once we know something, we think that what we do not know is not true. On the other hand, if you are really a serious Buddhist who understands the spirit of the Dharma, what you know should make you more curious and to want to understand what you don't know. It's not to cut off what you don't know, but to examine, to understand, especially in terms of the nature of the mind. This is what the suttas have been trying to teach us. This is the meaning of self-reliance. Only you can understand your own mind. All right? Mara is always there to distract us. So this is the other point that to bring in here. You see Mara trying to even confuse Brahma. All right? So that is the second point, right? So first, the Buddha tells Brahma, don't think that all these things are permanent. Number two, to correct himself. And the message is to us, right? That Mara is always there to distract us. So be very careful that distraction is preventing us from knowing, preventing us from growing this knowledge we already have. So that's a bit of what I can build up from before. But still, I would say, take your time, read the sutta again, even just sections of it, and then go back to the introduction. There are a lot of explanation there. I don't expect you to understand on the spot suddenly, So there are, nowadays you have notes, these are the commentaries. So please read them. I've spent many years writing them. So I don't expect you to understand in a few minutes. Read up, reflect, and you have more questions, write to us on the Telegram channel or Facebook Messenger. We'll try our best to answer, to help clarify to you further. Okay. Go on, please.
Okay, thank you, Brother Piya. The next question from BP Call also. Make you humble, this statement. Could you please explain the significance?
Well, this one is from the Brahma side. To simply submit yourself to God, obey God, worship God. It just simply means that, and it's found very common in the two books of the Old Testament. Basically, to submit totally to God. You have no power. You just let whatever happens, it's God's will, that kind of idea. So that's the meaning here, okay? So in Buddhism, of course, we don't accept that. It's just the opposite of that. All right.
All right, thank you, Brother Piya. Question from Go Hian Kui. Brother Piya, what is that Mara speaks to the Buddha through a Brahma's retinue instead of himself? There must be a reason to be drawn from this.
Oh, Mara is very cunning, okay? Because if he appears as himself, Buddha will know. So you're Mara, so obviously you're out to confuse people. So he was trying to confuse the Buddha by getting the Brahma, all the different kinds of Brahmas to talk to the Buddha, to like convince the Buddha that this world, this Brahma world is permanent, the heavens are permanent, God is permanent, So the lesson here is that a lot of people even good people can sometimes play the wrong role, can give us wrong advice. Even the best teachers can give you the wrong advice. Even I can give you the wrong advice if you misunderstand me. You see, so it's not that I want to confuse you, but sometimes maybe it's through my ignorance, or I didn't say something clearly enough, and then you misunderstood me. You happen to be thinking of something, and then I say one word, then you hook onto that word, and then zap, you have your own idea instead of what I said. That's Mara working, creating this view in your mind, and then making you hate me or like me or do certain things. We've got to be aware of all this. That's the meaning here. Mara is always out there to confuse us, to mislead us, to make us do the wrong things, and later we regret it. So the response to that, the counter to that is two ways. One is through deep meditation. When you have deep meditation, your mind is in jhana, if possible, then you blind Mara, says the sutta. On the other hand, simple mindfulness. Carefully think about what you should do, what you should not do, why you should do this, why you should not do this, why attending sutta once in a while, listening to sutta is better than, playing mahjong. You miss one session of mahjong, that's okay, something like that. Think wisely. So wise thinking, mindfulness helps us to overcome Mara. So Mara is in our own minds, our own negative karma. That's one way of putting it. So in that sense, Mara is present in every one of us. He has this connection, like some virus with everyone. So we have to be very mindful to make sure this virus doesn't act on us. There are viruses all around, but if you're healthy, these viruses cannot act on you, cannot make you sick. That's Mara. It's more cunning and tricky than you know. Okay, go on, please.
Okay, thank you, Brother Piya. Next question from Sister Rachel Wee.
Yes.
How does possession of a person occur? Mara possess someone in this sutta, but how does Mara do it if all beings have minds?
Yeah, so here Mara's mind stronger and takes over his mind. You notice some people, they are very strong, the personality is very strong, we say, and we tend to follow them. It's just in this case, they direct their mind, their will even more strongly so. Okay, I do not know the exact process, how this is done, but the wrong thoughts can easily overcome us when we're angry, for example. That's when Mara takes over. When we are lustful, that's when Mara takes over. When we are deluded, that's when Mara takes over. Okay, so Mara represents our dark side, our negative sides. We don't have to think of it in any mystical or magical or superstitious way. It's just when our minds are deluded, basically. Okay. Yes, next question.
Thank you, Brother Piya. Question from Sister Sandy. When the Buddha told Brahma he has directly known earth as earth, water as water, fire as fire, and etc., what does this direct knowledge refer to?
Yeah. Now, when you hear from me, it is when you read a book, an author writes the book, it's published, right? So we can call it third-hand knowledge. Now you hear from me, it's also third-hand, maybe second-hand knowledge because you're listening from me. And you do not know it yourself. But when you see something out there for yourself, you see a dear friend dies of COVID, and then you reflect on it, you say, wow, this is impermanent. And then you see this happening again to your pet cat or pet dog. This is a direct experience of death. So you know what it's like to lose something or someone you really care for. Now, one of the things about growing old is that, you meet old friends, you didn't see them for a long time. You knew them when they're very young, healthy, good looking. And then now, 50 years later, they look so tired and haggard and sick. It is something quite shocking, quite sad, in fact. So this is a direct experience. We feel samvega. We feel this sense of urgency. We say, wow, people are impermanent. Everything is impermanent. We all change. But if you stop there, you're going to be depressed. So you ask yourself, what do I do about this? Right? You have to understand the nature of true reality. That our task now is to bring joy and happiness to ourselves and share the joy with others. Make everyone happy. So as we grow old, we are happy. Our minds is at peace. Then we can practice the Dharma better. And then we pass away. We are reborn. We start over again. And we go to this cycle. Okay. So direct experience means learning for yourself through your own practice. Actually, meditation, you notice the peacefulness of the breath, you can feel it, that is direct experience. You do something bad, you notice the effect, that is direct experience. Okay, so the Buddha experienced directly all these things through his deep meditation. He experienced even deeper truths. So I hope that explains it, yeah? The direct experience is very important in Buddhism, by the way. That's the meaning of self-reliance also, okay? Okay, next question.
Okay, thank you, Brother Piya. Next question from Go Hian Kui. Brother Piya, the Buddha mentioned the four heavens which Brahma has no knowledge of.
Yeah.
In the 31 planes of existence.
Yes, they're part of the form dhyana world also. They're above where what they call this Brahma exists. Yeah, you can see all this in the diagram in the sutta, in the Kevada Sutta. I think towards the end, I think, right? If you want the diagrams, you can message us on Telegram or Facebook. We can send you that document, that sutta, the notes, to show you the list of realms, okay, the 31 planes. But there is also something I've written on the different planes. It's a whole long essay in volume 58, I think. We can send that to you also. So all those realms are mentioned in some detail there. So if you want that, just message us. Say, please send me something on the different realms, on the 31 realms, and we'll send those notes to you. It's a good time to build up your understanding. Remember, here it's just a starting point of learning. I'm only telling a few things here and there. You got to continue, build it up yourself. Now, it's like here you learn how to exercise and you go back and do the exercise yourself. Okay. Okay, next question. Oh, we still have 20 minutes, huh?
Yeah. There's a continuous question from Go Hian Kui.
Yeah.
What is the insight or insights that need to be drawn from this sutta in relation to our practice?
Okay. And then that's a very good question, because suttas all teach us something. For me, this sutta teaches me that we often get distracted from the good things we want to do by ideas we have about people. People like us, do not like us, or people say this, people say that. We are caught up, we are flustered by all this. So that's Mara. Okay? It's our own mind. Mara distracts us. Our own mind distracts us. So when we understand our own mind, we discipline our own mind, then we can work better. And I discovered after many, many years of working with Buddhism, the most important thing is to learn to be happy. When you are happy by cultivating loving kindness, by looking at the bright side of things, you can do a lot of things. You can just go on working with the sutta for hours, for days, for weeks, for months, for years, and you find them interesting. Other people find them boring, difficult. See? So that's Mara working. Mara always tries to discourage you from doing something good, something new and good. And there's always this voice telling you, why do this? Why there's nothing much to be gained here. Enjoy life. You have money, use it, you know. So this voice telling us to basically waste our time. And then we grow old, we find very difficult to read. Our eyes don't work well, our ears don't work well. Nothing works well, right? So start right now, you don't wait, see? So Mara is trying always to distract us away from reality. The Brahmas think that, oh, my heaven is permanent, you know. So we think that, oh, this body we have, oh, I'm healthy, you know, I'm going to live long, you know. In Singapore, there's some statistics that say the older you are, the longer you live. Okay, you know, I have many friends who appear to be younger and healthier than me. They have either passed away or they're incapacitated in some way through accidents and so on. And it's very sad to see that. You know, but now, although I'm like 72, you can never know, you know, when suddenly all that's left may be some of this, what you see online, some of these notes, Sutta discovery. So don't take for granted that, you know, you'll be having this all the years to come. So you better start learning now what the suttas have to teach you. That's the idea. Don't wait. Don't think, oh, this body is permanent, this mind is permanent, right? We'll forget things. And then maybe dementia will take over, right? So we have to work hard, train ourselves, do our regular sensible exercise so that our minds are healthy, you see? I read somewhere about this vascular dementia, you know, where your vessels get clogged up and your brain doesn't get enough oxygen and blood supply, right? Now the government is giving us oximeter. Put something on our finger and measure, see, make sure there's enough oxygen in our body. But you can do simple exercises, you know, to make sure there's blood flow in your brain. I do very simple senior yoga. First, I sit down, then I bend my head down to the level of my knees, and then I say Namo Tassa twice, and then slowly come up. Like that, I go on doing that, and then I do it standing up. Then I do like a jackknife, I bend my body down, so my head is touching my knees, near my knees, so to speak. So you can feel the blood flowing down. So that gives blood to my brain. So the simple exercises like this help to keep us healthy in body and mind in a gentle way, fitting for our age and constitution. So know all these things, okay? Slowly build up your exercises, eat healthily. Now, because of Ratna, in a sense, I'm also a vegetarian. She's a vegan, I'm vegetarian. It's amazing, to see her how she eats as a vegan, and as a vegetarian, I find my body lighter, and I feel better, and it also helps me to keep the precepts. The main reason why we're vegetarian is not that because we are more holy eating vegetarian vegetables, it is to respect life. We're not part of the killing process. So things like this, the suttas are reminding us to take care of ourselves. So do take care of yourselves too. Okay. Okay, questions.
Thank you, Brother Piya. Sister SKEGSS4 just has raised her hand. Sister SKEGSS4, can you please unmute yourself?
Yeah, thank you, Brother Piya. I just want to clarify. I think, I'm not so sure, but people think that Mara is some kind of a being in one of the 31 realms, but I kind of always think that they're just kilesas. And I was just Googling because I wanted to find out, and there was this interesting thing that says that in Buddhist cosmology, Mara is associated with death, rebirth, and desire. And Nimantanika Thera has described Mara as the personification of the forces antagonistic to enlightenment. So it's just, I mean, we can just lump them as like, the dark forces, kilesas, basically, they're all kilesas. At the time of enlightenment, when Mara sent forth his 3 daughters, thirst, desire, and delight, those are defilements.
Yes, very true. Yeah, possible.
It's not like, well, because people think that it's like you take possession and you kind of like an entity or yourself, which is not, isn't it? It's just a state of,
I remember that there is a sutta in the book of Tools, the Neyata Nitata Sutta. The Buddha says, don't misrepresent him. So when you read the suttas, you look at the text. Anything that talks in terms of beings, things, names of places, names of people, this need to be, the meaning need to be drawn out. Neyata. The atta, the sense must be, neya must be brought out. It is implicit. What does this mean? What's the Buddha talking about? All these stories, like Jataka stories, right? Anything that mentions human stories, Mara, Sakra, Brahma, all this, they have to be, the meaning, what is the meaning? We must ask ourselves. What is the sense behind it, the atta? When the Buddha talks directly, these are the 5 aggregates, form is impermanent, and so on and so forth. The one is direct. That is nitata, nita atta. The atta, the sense has been drawn out, explicit teachings. So from this guidance, we know that Mara, all these devas, they are personifications. That's what we are putting it. But remember, there are many things we do not know. There could be aliens living far away. Like there was a time long ago when the people from Malacca have never seen white men before, Portuguese. So the Portuguese came and thought, oh, the best thing the Malacca people then could think was that they were white Bengalis, So you have situations like this, Now we're talking about the universe, the cosmos. How do we know that there could be aliens out there? And the Buddha is talking about them. The Buddha knew about them. So these are possibilities. Don't think too much about them, but we say it is possible. So where Mara is concerned, he represents, yes, the opposite of the Buddha. In fact, I've not reached the SD volume on Mara yet, but very soon I have to write an essay on Mara. Okay, that'll be very interesting. I'm waiting for that time. So you find in every religion, there is this conception of evil, right? You have Satan and the devil and so on. So in Buddhism, you have Mara. But what is really interesting in Buddhism, early Buddhism at least, Mara is not a very strong evil force. He definitely has no power against the Buddha. And that makes us as Buddhists feel very confident, you know, and sometimes overconfident, okay? Whereas, let's say in the God religions, the devil is really scary and a very unhealthy idea that cause a lot of madness and mad behavior and violent behavior, you know? So it's not good to have that kind of idea also. So Mara is a very nasty and naughty guy. These two words describe him very well. Nasty, he tries to frighten you when you are meditating. He makes sudden noise, bang, or makes everything go dark, the power of failure, or something like that. You have stories like this in the suttas. And then the other thing is he will tempt you with all kinds of temptations. It can be very difficult to say no to, so to be very careful. This is Mara. So it is more useful for us to understand Mara in mental concept, because we're talking about how to be a better person, what are the things that prevent us from being a better person, right? So when we think about those lines, then we can think of Mara as mental states, as actually our own defilements and so on. Yeah. So that's the good thing about Buddhist psychology. We can think Mara as this this nastiness and this naughtiness personified. But Mara also represents death, the ultimate reality. Okay. In fact, originally Mara means just that, death. That Mara, that death will take over. But then, what is death? We fear death if we do a lot of bad stuff, if we don't study the suttas, if we don't know what the Buddha taught. We're always worried about this, worried about that, and we meet teacher after teacher asking the same question because we are afraid. We're trying to get rid of the fear. And then the teachers tell us more stories and we get more fear. But then if you understand the suttas, you find there's nothing to fear because there is no death. It is the ending of the body. The mind moves on to a new body. We don't know it because we are starting all over again. But with meditation, with becoming stream winners, we're able to look back in our past life and say, oh, I was like this. And then you begin to understand better what's going on with you, that we are progressing on the path of awakening. Yes, so Mara can be taken as kind of personification, if you like. Don't take too much idea that he's a demon trying to go boo in the night, frighten us. Not like that. It's not. We're not little children to be frightened by demons like that. All right, next question.
Thank you, Brother Piya. The next question from Brother LCO. What is Buddha's intention in disclosing this sutta to his disciple? Is it to enhance his enlightenment level or to warn his disciples not subdued by any being and use Mara as the ultimate? Is not that Buddha did not want any achiever to show off their superhuman skill they have developed?
Well, if you study literature, you know there are many ways of telling stories, many ways of showing our strength, our weaknesses. So this is, and Buddhist literature is very interesting. In fact, there is a, I remember once there is a lesson, I think, in the University of California at Berkeley, something like religion as literature. So we can, in a sense, we can read the sutta as literature, which will make it also quite interesting. So you find in literature, there's a lot of drama, the stories are told, the battle between good and evil. So the story of Brahma's invitation makes use of the ideas well known in the Buddha's time, especially that of Brahma. In fact, the Buddha did such a good job of Brahma, he practically converted Brahma, so much so that the Brahmins got very angry with Brahma, and the Brahmins demoted him, refused to worship him. In fact, in India today, you find Brahma has hardly a dozen temples in the whole of India. Can you imagine that? Compared to Shiva, Shiva's fierce and violent, so they like him. And Vishnu, the preserver, again, worship, but not so popular, but more popular than Brahma. They all have thousands of temples, hundreds of thousands of temples, but Brahma temples are very difficult to find in India even today, because he became Buddhist. He became a non-returner, actually. If you read the story of this Brahma in Katikara Sutta, for example, all right? So you have this, that the Buddha uses all these ideas which are common in his days to people, and then show how all these ideas actually are just that, ideas used by clever theologians, Brahmins, and then he tells his own stories to show us how our mind works, to show how we are discouraged when we want to do good, right? Notice the Buddha says, Amara tells the Buddha, don't teach, don't give advice, why take so much trouble to teach? Just relax, enjoy life, This is what Mara tells the Buddha. So the lesson is not to be discouraged when we want to learn something. Okay. Yes. Next question.
Thank you, Brother Piya. Next question from Sister Doris Pham.
Okay.
Are they good Brahma or only the evil one?
Oh, no. Brahmas are technically, they're supposed to be all good, because in order to reach that high level of Brahma, such happiness, you have to be good, you see. So here the Buddha is saying, even you reach that high level, you're not safe, because where there's good, there's also bad. Okay, and Mara can reach any level if he wants to. So what the Buddha is saying, being good is not enough. All right. There was once somebody printed a book, just be good, right? Be good is not enough, because Mara, if he's smiling at you, if you're just good, you still get caught with samsara. You got to go beyond good. You got to be at peace with yourself, which is neither good nor bad. Okay, when you're truly at peace with yourself on a higher level, that's the meaning. Of course, you look at the Buddhist training, Sila, Samadhi, Panya, moral training, mind training, wisdom training, the three trainings, right? Moral training, just be good, okay? We keep the precepts, that's the starting point. Yes, you start there, but you don't end there. Because if you end there, Mara is very happy. The second one, you use the good to rise above the good. It's just like you're healthy, You're sick, so your first task is to be healthy. But being healthy alone is not an end. Once you're healthy, you'll say, what can I do? Okay, I can help people, I can do this, I can do that, I can travel, right? So you go next stage like that. So moral training, be good. Mental training, understand the nature of your mind, okay? That free yourself from all kinds of views. And then comes the wisdom, where you awaken to true reality. So these are stages of understanding. All right? Yes.
All right, thank you, Brother Piya. The next question from Brother LCU.
Okay.
Okay, from this sutta, am I right to say that Buddha is trying to teach us to fully understand the danger of our monkey mind, which the external influences like Brahma's material worlds and ultimately Mara will distract us or subdue or entice us to go off track?
Yes, yeah, that's one way of looking at it. A good sutta has got many, teaches us different person in different ways. So if you calm yourself, you look at it, the sutta speaks to you in wonderful ways. There are many new things you discover about yourself. And then you begin to put quality into your life, more purpose into your life. In other words, you are asking yourself, what can I do that's really wonderful? You see? Now, for example, I receive a lot of invitation to go out to various countries, to teach the Dhamma. To Sri Lanka, so many invitations. I said, no. To Australia, to even the Maldives. I said no to all this travel, because travel really tires me, and it takes days for me to recover, and I can't do any translation work. So you want to learn, you come here. You come to Singapore, or you come to Zoom, okay? Or it's all online. You can read up the suttas. You don't need me, right? If you look at me and say, oh, I'm just a Chinaman-looking person, no charisma, then you change your mind and say, oh, it's not a great teacher. It doesn't look great, But the Dharma is what makes me great. Okay? So the Dharma is what you want. You don't want me. I mean, you want the Dharma. See? So you get the Dharma. If not for the Dharma, I'll be nothing. I mean, my life is meaningless. See? So the Dharma is what you want. The Dharma is what you need. So go for the Dharma. Don't run after people. Don't run after teachers. So this is another important teaching from the suttas, self-reliance. Okay, we have a few more minutes. Any more questions?
Thank you, Brother Piya. There's a question from Brother Tan Kim Si.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, Brother Piya, do you agree with me that there are two main points I'm convinced that in this sutta, Buddha is telling us to be assertive, to speak up against what is not true or deviation? In this case, Buddha is pointing out Brahma should not be conceited, Mara not to hide behind Brahma, and another point is non-attachment or non-self.
Wonderful. Yes, it is a beautiful way of looking at it too. That you should write articles also, Kim Si. So this we should not look up so much to Brahma that we do not put in the effort. This is what John Dewey, the American philosopher of education, wrote. I quoted him in the introduction to this sutta. He says that we're so carried away by this idea of God, and we push all this initiative outside of us that we don't stop doing it ourselves, right? So we got to have the initiative ourselves. Don't rely on external powers. Yes, those are wonderful ideas, Kim Si. Yeah. So I hope you will write something about it, maybe even a short one, something wise and helpful, which will help many of us, inspire us. Put it on Facebook or the Telegram channel. That'd be really wonderful. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Brother Piya. There's one last short question from Sister Patricia.
Okay.
Is Mara in Buddhism the same as Maya in Hinduism?
Oh, no. Maya is just a name, meaning illusion. Everything in this world is illusion. It's not real. So it's a bit like non-self. Things that don't appear. Things appear to be what they really are not. In a sense, Maya might be a word for all the three characteristics, if you like. But in Buddhism, we separate them into impermanence, suffering, and non-self. And remember, the Buddha's mother was called Maya also, right? So Maya means illusion, yeah. So non-reality. So we want to penetrate non-reality to see reality. True reality, not just virtual reality which we create for ourselves. For example, all this is virtual reality, right? Through technology and so on. But the true reality is what goes on in our own mind. So the suttas make us think for ourselves, make us do the right thing. And we are doing just that here. Okay, so any last minute question?
Okay, thank you, Brother Piya. There's a statement from Ryan Go, I just read out. Until we are there, there is a Mara in all of us.
Question or statement? Okay, statement. All right. Yeah, that's very true. I might even revise that to say we are all Mara in some sense. So we are either Mara to ourselves or Mara to others. So we have to realize that and say, oops, I better stop playing this role. Okay, we play all this role. I mean, remember Shakespeare on the stage, right? Stages of men. So don't play the role of Mara. Play the role of Buddha if you like, or play the role of the Arahats. Play the role of a spiritual friend. Okay, wonderful. On that note, I think we can end tonight's talk, right?
Yes. Thank you everyone for your questions, and thank you, Sister Isin.
I have one question. This Mara, this Mara in Indonesian is also like angry, Mara.
Ah, Mara. No, it's Mara. Yes, there's a H ending. Yeah. I don't know whether they're related or not, but they sound close. Yes, very true.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah, Malay
Pali.
also. Yeah.
In Pali also, like Mara is something negative.
Yeah.
Makes you angry and agitating.
Oh, well, Mara is a very nice demon. It's very tricky. It's very tricky. Yeah. And he's got 3 daughters, you know, who tried to entice the Buddha too. So the story goes. So this is Buddhist mythology of evil. All right, literature. Take it as literature. Wonderful. Okay, we'll meet again, and next time we'll have some more interesting things to talk about. Yeah. Okay. So. Do we close now?
Yes, we can. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Brother Piya. We'll close now.
Okay, let us spend a quiet moment now. It's a time when we recall our human state that allow us to gather together and to study the Dhamma, to direct our minds within to peace, clarity. Remember, we are not always human. We get caught up with all sorts of things out there, which bring us down to the subhuman planes, where greed, hate, or delusion predominates. So watch those out. The suttas warn us against falling into those states. We show our gratitude for such wonderful teachings by bowing down 3 times to the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha. Arahang Samma Sambuddho Bhagava. Buddhang Bhagavantang Abhivademi. Bow down. Swakato Bhagavata Dhammo. Dhammang Namasami. Bow down. Supatipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sangho. Sanghang Namami. Bow down. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. May you all be well and happy.